My name is Nick Binedell. I'm a professor at the Gordon Institute of Business Science. My field is strategic leadership, which is really about the combination between leadership and strategy. And I look forward to working with you for the 2 days that we'll be together. The field of strategy is a complex one, but a very interesting one nevertheless. What we believe is it's no good having a strategy, in other words, an idea of how we compete and what we're going to do next, unless we have the ability to make it happen. And that brings in a great deal of organizational and leadership questions, which we will explore. And secondly, it's no good being able to do things, to get stuff done, unless you have a strategy, unless you've got a direction and good ideas about what the business will do next. So that's the broad framework that I come from. Early in my career, I was a CEO in a company of about 300 people. And then I began lecturing, went to do my doctorate, and I've been teaching as a professor for the last 30 years, mainly in South Africa, but also in Europe and elsewhere. My interest really is about how companies compete, and as I say, how we can make it happen. So the format of my sessions, the 2 days, will be a mix of lectures and some examples, obviously, and then some workshops for you to practice your thinking about the idea of what strategy is for you and your business and your industry and your environment, and defining it, understanding the concepts that lie behind strategy, which are critically important for senior executives in HR who are responsible for the overall human performance of the organization and tackling the many, many areas that HR so critically does. We will start by exploring briefly the concept of strategy, its origins, its various definitions. There are many interpretations of what this means. It's a very powerful concept. Every company has a strategy. It may just simply be what it does, but successful companies tend to have a concept of how they're going to compete. And there are many different ways of looking at it, and we'll go through those so that you're comfortable with them. My broad interest is in helping you as an expert in the human relations issues to become slightly more effective to the general management and to the CEO and top executives, as well as other executives, in helping them with your expertise, but to build their ability to develop a strategy. And so the workshop will be aimed at empowering you as HR people in the field of strategy to take your place around the table of how this company will compete, what's happening in its industry and market, and what are the big forces that are shaping the world we work and live in. I will help you write and define your definition of the strategy of the business. So we will start there, and our first half day will be about that. From there, we'll go and look at some broad forces that are changing the landscape. We're familiar with all of them, but our work will not only be to talk about them broadly, but to help you apply them to your industry and your company, so that you have a better understanding of these forces and what they mean for the human resources role, but firstly for the business overall, and then secondly for you as an expert in the human relations field. The second part of our seminar will be an exploration of how companies plan and think about the future, and how to construct and assist with the helping of a strategy statement, a planning document, a vision of the future, and all the various parts of trying to create that vision, and how companies go about it, and what the key elements are of doing so, which you can apply to HR strategy, but mainly to business strategy itself. We will spend some time thinking about the role of the chief executive and the very senior team around the chief executive, and the particularities of that role and how one can support CEOs in that role. I will be also exploring, as an introduction to the work Professor Stiles will be doing, around the new world of work, in particular technology and its implications for strategy, and then as a consequence for organizational design. Finally, we will be spending time looking at organization design and shape, structure, systems, culture, and of course, strategic leadership. Good leadership has got to be strategic in that it has a big impact on the core functioning and future of the business. And finally, let me say I'll be looking forward to getting a sense of the companies in the room and thinking together with you about how to apply these concepts in your world of work in order to facilitate your effectiveness as an HR specialist. I've always had a good sense for HR, and I've been asked many times to speak at conferences and with teams as to how to try and make HR more strategic and enhance its strategic contribution to the overall running of the business. So I hope that gives you some idea of how we're going to work. I will assign a few readings and you'll get a course outline that will show you what we're going to cover.